You didn't include the Raw. God damn it, culture.
Nope, that's Tom's thing. He usually hits the button.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Oscars. They came. Loads of people didn't even know they were on. But yes, they were on. But basically, no one. I don't think anyone really knew they were on. Quite frankly, not a lot of surprises. Not a lot of. I don't think there's any real snubs. I mean, we covered this before. Before when the nominations came out, and I think there seems to be a universal sort of commentary about how Godzilla should have been nominated for more than it was nominated for. Apparently, that's a technical thing. It was released at a certain point in time, so it's not able to be put forward for certain things here and there. Sure, fine, whatever.
Well, and they'd already submitted another film.
Yes, yeah, they had. But look, this should have got a lot more nominations, but Godzilla has now made history. It is an Oscar-winning franchise. Cool. I mean, good. Great. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that a lot of this actually went, the way it did, quite frankly. There are a lot of wins for Oppenheimer. So Oppenheimer won Best Picture. Oppenheimer director Christopher Nolan won Best Director. Best Actor is Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy. Best Actress, this I didn't agree with, was Emma Stone in Poor Things. What your thoughts?
I'm not saying a fucking word about that movie right now.
And
it's an odd one, isn't it? I didn't know how to review that movie.
Yeah, I haven't had time to get through the entire thing, so there you are.
It's an odd one.
Yeah, I will tell you. I will tell you that there was a lot of performances this year for women that could have been recognized. So I don't know that, again, having not completed the film, I still would say you probably got a better performance out of the actresses in Oppenheimer. So,
yeah.
I mean, best supporting actress would have been Emily Blunt for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, best supporting actor was Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
Yeah,
easy.
Well, I think the important thing to consider while we're discussing this, do you think there's anyone else that should have been nominated in the running to win, as opposed to just
somebody who was nominated, or somebody that should have been nominated?
Someone that should have been nominated that wasn't.
Oh,
yeah, switching it up now, aren't I?
Who was the fellow? Because I don't know any of their names. See, this is the problem with Godzilla not qualifying. I would have liked the doctor.
Basically, pardon?
Yeah, the doctor that was in
yes,
in Godzilla would have been a better choice if the film had qualified. I just
agree.
I mean, there's a lot of the films I've seen this year. The other thing that frustrates me is Mario Brothers got dissed. So, but
that did get snubbed. Like you did mention snubs. There was a few snubs. That got snubbed completely.
I agree with you.
And look, I mean, the ratings were only up 4%, and that tells me a lot.
Oh yeah.
What that tells me is that this is dead. They did everything they could to muster up an audience, and it didn't work. And I'm not talking about Jimmy Kimmel. I'm talking about the fact that they rode Barbenheimer to the Oscars. Right? They literally had Barbie and Oppenheimer nominated for almost all the major awards together. So this was set up for them to be a huge year at the Oscars, and they still couldn't draw eyeballs to the screen. Only 4% raise in ratings. And culture, you tell me that's horrible, right? Because they were already in the dumpster.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. And again, the only thing that happened was they went an hour earlier, and they managed to keep it to 3.5 hours. Again,
done at like 10 o'clock, I think, the same.
10:30 Eastern, I think, is when it finished. But the biggest problems being is that the ceremony's too long. There's too much garbage in between. They make too many mistakes, and the entertainers that are involved in the production of the show itself are not good enough. So when the most noteworthy thing is John Cena walking out covering his penis.
Well, you had that, and you had a few other bits that actually landed, like the Danny DeVito Schwarzenegger one. That one did pretty well, and were Oscar-esque.
Yeah,
I mean, you've gotten to this point where people just aren't going to tune in anymore. They don't care. because you actually had movies that were nominated that people saw, right? People had seen most of the major nominees. So, and this is what I said, this year's going to be a test because it's been a while since we've had this many movies that people have all seen and have been nominated and all that stuff. Like Top Gun last year and all that kind of stuff was kind of a little bit of trying to do the same thing. They managed to only bump it up 4%.
Yeah, it was the worst situation, and in the coveted demographic, they didn't even pull the numbers that they really needed to.
But you had two huge movies this year going up against each other, and they still couldn't draw in an audience.
Yeah, and what's even worse is that it was, and this is just the perspective I come from. You had marketable films. Like the audience
That's what I mean.
saw a lot of the movies that were up there this year, right?
Yeah,
for the most part, including the Boy and the Heron and things like that. You had animated.
I was just going to get to that.
Yeah, you had animated films drawing eyeballs this year. You had all of these things that appealed to the broadest possible audience, and you got 4% most likely, a 4% increase most likely because of your time change. That was it. Nothing.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But there we go. So best visual effects, Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was so great to see Takashi Yamazaki and his team at the Oscars. They're wearing Godzilla themed shoes. They're taking Godzilla toys there.
Yes.
How amazing! And in their speech, they dedicate it to the producer as well. That sadly not with them. Great, amazing. So like wholesome, good, awesome people.
And you know what they could have done?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they could have had some fun with Godzilla too. Like, and this is something Billy Crystal would have done. All throughout the show, he'd have been like, I just want to inform everybody that Mr. Godzilla is lost. He's on his way to the Kodak Theater. We're not quite sure. Oh, wait, I'm getting word now. He's on Beverly Hills Drive. And then you get like a bunch of noise and stuff in the background. You shoot to a video and here's Godzilla like turning around trying to find the theater and all that stuff. And Billy's like, follow the lights. Follow the spotlights. You could have had this bit throughout the whole night. That's the kind of stuff they used to do, And then finally, when he got to the awards ceremony, he finally made his way there and all that kind of stuff. It would have been fun.
One more thing to add to that, Tom. They gave away the 3D model. You can actually play with the 3D model.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm going to go grab it and maybe use it.
Well, we got some super chats about this particular topic. So Silent Evil dropped in a super chat $3. Says, besides Godzilla winning VFX, The Boy and the Heron won for best animated feature.
Yes,
that's the first film from the legendary Hayao Miyazaki. I'm butchering this, man. I'm so tired. Whose last film, In the Wind Rises, lost out to Frozen in 2013. So this was so nice to see. It was a good night for Japan. Yeah, it was. But you know what? It almost feels hollow. It feels like they did it with purpose, not based on a meritocracy. It feels like they voted strategically, right, to try to get people more on side with the Oscars. That's why it feels a bit hollow to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it deserves it 100%, but do I think they think it deserves it? No. Right? This is Hollywood. Right? I don't think they deserve it. I think they would rather have voted for whatever woke garbage shit that was out. William Fleming drops in $2, says Godzilla minus is great entertainment, great good pacing, and like Oppenheimer, which I call enter-detainment. What a slog. And says John Cena would have thought twice about what he did at the Oscars if RoboCop was there. Pew pew. Good old days.
Yeah, I still love that bit.
Oh dear, dear. Well, there you go. Any other things to add?
I mean, I'll give them credit. From the clips that I saw, this was a much better Oscar ceremony than we'd seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I think it's a travesty that Billie Eilish now has more Oscars than Martin Scorsese does. But they managed to keep most of the politics out of the night. The one time it really did lean into the politics outside of the red carpet, from what I heard, was just that moment at the end with Kimmel. And I guess word is coming out that the producers told him not to do that. Or the Academy did, one of the two, and he still did it anyway.
So I don't know. What did he do? Sorry?
he come out and it's kind of the weird thing about it, Mr. H, is the bit is almost kind of blowing up in his face. He came out and he read Trump's Truth Social comment on the Oscars as a joke. And the sad part is it's kind of tone deaf to do, because it's basically ripping on him doing a piss poor job and how nobody watches the Oscars. And Trump is right. That's the problem. Nobody's watching, right? Like,
yeah, literally no one.
And he just did it so he could get a big whoop whoop out of the room, because you'd have more TDS going on in that room than any other place in the world at that moment. But yeah,
right. It was a bad decision, but that guy is like the universe of bad decisions, right? The only good decision he ever made was obviously his wife, because I think that's the only reason he was on the show this year, because she was producing the show.
Producer,
yeah. So it's like, all right, I mean, so if you want to give the show credit for being better, it's his wife, wasn't him. But I disagree with the sound one. I'm just going to say this: Oppenheimer should have won. Oppenheimer should have won for best sound design. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go, ladies and gents. In Marto sent in $5, says, big ups to you, sir. Well, thank you so much, chap.
Thank you very much. And I love your icon. That's cool as heck.
That is a very cool icon.